Hello, and welcome to the Practical World Podcast. This is your guide to actionable insights and strategies for employees and salarymen. In each episode, we cover a variety of topics, from productivity hacks and financial tips to work-life balance and personal growth. Our mission is to equip you with practical tools to enhance your professional journey. Let's dive in and discover the benefits waiting for you in the practical world. This is the real world. This is the Practical World Podcast.
All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a look at the legend of Mae Nak, Phra, Khanong.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, and we've got a bunch of sources here. Articles, movie synopses, even a travel blog about her shrine.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, but as always, we're not just going to scratch the surface. We want to go deep, see how the story's evolved, the impact it's had, not just in Thailand, but globally, and what it might even tell us about ourselves.
I think that's what makes this legend so fascinating, right? It's the ability to capture the imagination.
Right, exactly.
And to resonate with people even after centuries.
So for anyone who's maybe hearing this tale for the first time, can you kind of give us like a summary of the core narrative?
The one that kind of pops up again and
again.
Yeah,
like the basic Mae Nak story.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
The heart of the story is a tragic romance set in the Khanong district of Bangkok.
Okay.
Mae Nak, deeply in love with her husband, Mak.
Right.
Tragedy strikes when Mak is called away to serve in the military, and Mae Nak, pregnant with their child, dies during childbirth.
Oh, wow.
And this is where the story really taps into Thai beliefs about spirits.
Right.
In Thai folklore, a woman who dies in childbirth becomes a Phai Thai Thong Glom.
A Phai Thai Thong Glom.
Yes, exactly. It's a particularly powerful and vengeful spirit.
Oh, okay. So it's not just any ghost. There's an extra layer there.
Exactly. That classification really heightens the sense of tragedy and fear surrounding Mae Nak.
I see.
The sorrow, the longing she experiences in death are amplified.
Oh, wow.
And it fuels her supernatural abilities.
Okay, so this is where the whole ghost story element kicks in.
Exactly. Yeah. Driven by her love and longing for Mae Nak, Ghost remains in their home, unaware of her own passing.
Mm-hmm.
When Mac returns, he's initially oblivious to the truth.
Oh, wow.
And they live together as if everything is normal.
But things are definitely not normal.
Definitely not.
And there's this recurring image across many of the sources we have of Mae Nak's long-reaching arm.
Ah.
What's the significance of that?
It's such a striking visual, right?
Yeah, it really is.
You see it in the traditional artwork in the modern films.
Right.
I think it embodies both her supernatural power and her desperation to hold on to Mac, even in death.
Right, even in death.
It's a very powerful representation of her longing and her inability to let go.
It's like a physical manifestation of the emotional hold she still has.
Exactly.
On him and their life together.
Precisely. And eventually, of course, Mac discovers the truth, that his beloved wife is actually a ghost.
Right, right.
It's a moment of horror and realization for him.
Of course, of course.
And this discovery is what really sets the events of the legend into motion.
Okay, so we're talking about the truth, and what I find interesting is how much debate there is about the historical basis of the Mae Nak story.
Oh, yeah?
It's like we have this incredibly well-known legend, but solid proof is kind of hard to come by.
You've hit upon a crucial point there. The Mae Nak story, while deeply embedded in Thai culture, is shrouded in a certain degree of mystery. Right. One of the sources points to KSR Kulat's account from the late 19th century as a potential origin story.
Mm-hmm.
But even that has inconsistencies.
Right. And wasn't KSR Kulat known for being a bit of a storyteller?
He wasn't exactly known for his strictly factual storytelling style, no.
So it makes you wonder, did he embellish a bit,
Well, that's why his version of the Mae Nak story is seen with a certain amount of skepticism.
Right.
So we're left with this intriguing question. Did he embellish? Did he take creative liberties?
It adds another layer to the mystery.
It does.
It kind of reminds me of other figures like King Arthur or Robin Hood.
Oh, yeah. Good comparison.
Where history and folklore just kind of blend together.
Right. And it speaks to the nature of storytelling itself, especially in cultures with rich oral traditions.
Mm-hmm.
The Mae Nak story, passed down through generations, likely evolved with each retelling.
And there's even debate about the spelling of Mae Nak's name, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Does that also kind of tie into this idea of the story evolving over time?
Absolutely. It might seem like a minor detail, but that very discussion, whether her name is spelled with or without a final consonant,
Yeah.
highlights the dynamism of oral traditions.
Right.
As stories are passed down, details shift, nuances emerge, and sometimes those subtle changes
Right.
can actually reveal a lot about how the story has been shaped and reshaped by different communities over time.
It's like those little details are clues to a much larger cultural story.
Exactly.
And speaking of how stories travel, we can't overlook the sheer variety of ways the Mae Nak legend has been adapted.
Oh, yeah, so many.
We're talking traditional Thai theater, modern films, TV shows, even opera.
It's a testament to the story's enduring power that it continues to inspire artists and storytellers across those mediums.
Right.
And each adaptation offers its own unique perspective, reflecting the cultural values and anxieties of its time.
One of the sources mentions the 1999 film Nang Nak, directed by Nanzi Nimitbichur,
Oh, yeah. Beautiful film.
and Variety magazine praised it for its artistry.
Right.
It seems like that film really brought the legend to a wider and international audience.
It did garner a lot of international acclaim. And it's interesting to see how that film, while staying true to the core elements of the legend, also added its own layer of emotional depth.
Hmm.
But when it comes to sheer cultural impact, I think we have to talk about the 2013 film PMAC.
Oh, absolutely. That movie was huge, wasn't it?
It really was a
Yeah.
huge box office success, both in Thailand and internationally.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is how PMAC took the Mae Nak story and infused it with comedy,
Right.
creating something fresh while still honoring the core themes.
Yeah.
It shows that even centuries later, this legend can be adapted in ways that surprise and delight audiences.
It makes you realize that these adaptations, they're not just about entertainment, are they?
They're cultural artifacts.
Yeah.
The way Mae Nak is portrayed, the themes that are emphasized, even the ending of the story, they all offer a window into the prevailing values and anxieties of a particular era.
A film made in the 1950s might focus on traditional values and the importance of social order, while a modern adaptation might explore themes of individual agency or the complexities of grief and trauma.
Exactly. And even when we look beyond Thailand, we see how Mae Nak's story has resonated with international audiences.
That's right.
Academics have drawn connections between her character and broader Asian beliefs about spirits. Filmmakers worldwide have been inspired by her tragic romance.
Yeah.
One of the sources even compares her to Romeo and Juliet,
Oh, wow.
star-crossed lovers whose happiness is tragically cut short.
That comparison really struck me too, because on the surface, you have a ghost story rooted in Thai folklore.
Right.
But then when you dig deeper, you see these universal themes of love, loss, and the fear of the unknown.
It's a story that taps into the core of human experience, doesn't it? This longing for connection that transcends even death itself.
Absolutely. But going back to its cultural roots, what I find particularly compelling about the Mae Nak legend is what it reveals about Thai culture and beliefs.
Yes, definitely.
And we get some really insightful perspectives from our Thai sources,
Oh, absolutely.
especially that travel blog post and the encyclopedia entry.
Yes.
What specifically stood out to you?
Well, one key theme is the importance of respecting the dead.
Okay.
Mae Nak's spirit isn't simply depicted as evil or malicious.
Right.
She's driven by powerful emotions.
Right.
Her deep love for Mac, the grief of losing their child, the confusion of being caught between worlds,
Yeah.
her actions, even the vengeful ones, stem from these unresolved feelings.
It makes me think about how in Thai culture, there's this emphasis on proper rituals and ceremonies to help guide spirits toward peace
Exactly.
and prevent them from becoming vengeful.
It's not just about fear. It's about understanding and compassion.
Yeah.
The legend underscores the belief that even in death, those bonds of love and loss don't simply disappear.
Right.
It's up to the living to help spirits find resolution.
It's a much more nuanced perspective on ghosts than just seeing them as scary or malevolent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it ties into another key theme that emerges from the sources, the emphasis on family and marital fidelity. Mae Nak's devotion to her husband is both admired and seen as a cautionary tale.
In what way?
Well, on one hand, her unwavering loyalty is held up as an ideal,
Mm-hmm.
but on the other hand, her inability to let go even in death ultimately leads to tragedy.
Right.
It raises questions about the delicate balance between honoring love and recognizing the need for acceptance and moving on.
It's interesting how a story like this can spark those kinds of reflections on human relationships, isn't it?
It truly is.
Yeah.
And finally, there's one more layer of cultural insight that I found particularly fascinating.
Okay.
Is how the legend reflects the interplay between Buddhist beliefs and older animistic traditions in Thailand.
Oh, that's right. I remember reading about that. Could you explain that a bit more?
Of course. So animism essentially refers to the belief that spirits inhabit the natural world,
Okay.
trees, rivers, animals, and so on. In Thailand, you see this fascinating blend where Buddhist principles coexist with these older animistic beliefs.
Right.
And Mae Nak embodies that duality perfectly.
In what way?
Well, on one hand, she's feared for her vengeful potential.
Yeah.
People are careful not to anger her spirit. But on the other hand, she's also venerated as a powerful figure who can bestow blessings and good fortune.
I see.
You see this especially at her shrine, which brings us to another fascinating aspect of the Mae Nak story,
Okay.
how it's become so deeply embedded in Thai daily life.
Yes. That travel blog gave such a vivid description of her shrine at Wat Mahabud.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it?
People making offerings, seeking her favor, leaving gifts.
Right.
It's like she's not just a character in a story, but a living presence in people's lives.
That's exactly it. And the offerings themselves are so telling.
Yeah.
People leave things like traditional Thai clothing, children's toys, even those little model houses you mentioned.
Okay.
It's as if they're trying to appease both the spirit of the grieving wife and the mother who lost her child.
It really highlights how the legend has touched so many aspects of Thai culture,
It really has.
from religious beliefs to everyday rituals. Speaking of those offerings, are there any that are considered particularly significant?
Oh, definitely. Jasmine flowers are a common offering, symbolizing beauty and purity.
Okay.
Perhaps referencing Mae Nak's beauty in life. You also see people leaving Thai sweets, especially a dessert called Khanong Fu.
Khanong Fu. Okay.
Some believe this might be a way to appeal to her maternal side, offering comfort to the spirit of her lost child.
It's fascinating how those offerings reflect such specific aspects of the legend.
It is.
It adds another layer of meaning to the whole experience.
It's a beautiful example of how stories can become woven into the fabric of a culture,
Right.
shaping beliefs, inspiring rituals, and offering comfort and guidance across generations.
You know, as we've been discussing all this, I keep coming back to that question of historical truth.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We talked about the lack of concrete evidence, the debate over KSR Kulap's account.
Right. And it's almost like that ambiguity adds to the power of the legend, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so.
It allows for multiple interpretations
Right.
and invites us to question the very nature of truth itself.
That's a great point. Because even if we can't definitively say this is what really happened,
Right.
the impact of the story is undeniable.
It is.
And maybe that's what truly matters. The
Yeah.
way a legend like this can shape beliefs, inspire art, and offer solace and connection,
Yes.
regardless of its historical accuracy. Yeah, it really makes you think about what draws us to these types of stories, you know?
Well, it's a question worth pondering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the way these legends tap into something deeper, something fundamental about the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
Our fascination with the supernatural, the fear of death, the longing for love and connection, even when facing loss.
Those are all such universal themes.
They are.
And I guess that's why Mae Nak's story has resonated with people across cultures throughout time.
I think so.
It's not just a Thai ghost story. It's a story about what it means to be human.
Exactly.
Mm.
And it invites us to consider how these ancient beliefs and stories continue to shape our understanding of the world around us, even today.
Right.
For instance, think about those offerings left at Mae Nak's shrine.
Yeah.
The jasmine flowers, the sweets, the little model houses.
It's almost like,
They speak to a deep-seated belief in the power of spirits
yeah.
and the importance of maintaining harmony between the living and the dead.
It's a powerful reminder that those beliefs aren't just relics of the past.
Not at all.
They're very much alive,
They are.
influencing how people live their lives.
Precisely. And it makes you appreciate the enduring power of storytelling.
Right.
How a legend like this can offer comfort, guidance, and a connection to something larger than ourselves.
So we started this deep dive wanting to uncover not just the story of Mae Nak,
Right.
but its evolution, its impact, what it might reveal about us humans.
And I think we've done that.
I think so too. And as with all of our deep dives, we don't just want to leave you with information.
No, of course not.
We want you to think about it a little more,
Absolutely.
So here's a question for all of you listening. If you were to create a modern adaptation of the Mae Nak story, what aspects would you focus on? What message would you want to convey to a contemporary audience?
It's a challenge worth considering, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you take a story passed down through generations and make it relevant to our lives today?
what new layers of meaning can we uncover?
Exactly.
That's something to really think about, and we'd love to hear your thoughts.
We would.
Maybe you'd emphasize the psychological complexities of grief and loss, or explore the clash between traditional beliefs and modern values.
So many possibilities.
The possibilities are endless. Who knows? Maybe your interpretation will be the next great Mae Nak adaptation.
That would be fantastic.
But as you continue exploring this fascinating legend, just remember, be careful not to drop any limes under your house.
Oh.
You never know who might be watching.
Thank you for joining.
This is the Practical World Podcast.